The night air in Gainesville was thick, almost suffocating. Crickets chirped in the dark, porch lights flickered on quiet student streets, and behind thin apartment walls, the sound of laughter and music masked something far more sinister. While the city drifted toward sleep, a man was watching. He had chosen his targets. He studied the way they moved through their routines, the way lights went out at the same time each night, the way doors were left unlocked, because this was an off-campus college town where danger felt distant. In his mind, the hunt had already begun. He wasn't looking for chaos. He was planning a performance. Each scene would be staged, each victim selected, each killing more confident than the last. A predatory presence that saw this landscape of promise and education as a hunting ground.
Welcome to CrimeScope USA. Before we get into the video, do smash that like and subscribe button to help the channel. Also, don't forget to ring that notification bell so as not to miss any new videos from us.
It began not with a scream, but with an unnerving silence. A missed phone call, a friend's unanswered knock, a growing sense of unease that something was terribly wrong behind a closed apartment door. The predator chose his moment with chilling patience. He moved in the dark, a phantom slipping through the unlocked doors and open windows that were emblematic of the town's trusting nature. His first sanctuary of violation was the Williamsburg Village Apartments, the new home of 17-year-old Christina Powell and 18-year-old Sonia Larson. He entered their space not with a crash, but with a whisper, armed with a knife and duct tape. The terror was absolute and controlled. He bound them, silenced them, and subjected them to an ordeal of unimaginable horror before ending their lives. But for this killer, death was not the objective. It was merely a prerequisite for his true work. He did not flee. He stayed. He lingered in the silence of the aftermath, manipulating their bodies into grotesque posed positions. He meticulously wiped the scene clean, an act not of fear, but of supreme contemptuous control, a final gesture to demonstrate that this space, this horror, was entirely his creation. The very next day, as the first shockwaves of discovery began to ripple through the community, the predator was already focused on his next performance. His target was 18-year-old Krista Hoyt, alone in her apartment. The invasion was a repeat of the same quiet, devastating efficiency. But the desecration that followed was a horrifying escalation, a plunge into a new depth of depravity. After he murdered her, he engaged in a methodical mutilation, ensuring that the scene would be seared into the minds of all who found it. He had moved beyond simple murder into the realm of monstrous artistry, solidifying the chilling moniker given to the unknown assailant,
The Gainesville Ripper. With the city now gripped by a paralyzing fear, the killer felt emboldened. 2 days later, he breached the sanctity of the Gatorwood Apartments, home to 23-year-olds Tracy Powells and Manuel Taboada. Manuel fought back, a desperate final act of defiance that enraged the predator. The killer's response was swift and brutal, but with the unexpected resistance quelled, the ritual resumed. He turned his attention to Tracy, subjecting her to the same brutal signature of assault and murder before once again posing her body, leaving a final, horrific diorama for the world to find. In the span of just 72 hours, this lone, shadowy figure had not only extinguished 5 lives, but it also murdered the city's sense of security. The investigation was a frantic race to find the ghost haunting their streets. The killer was a whisper, a shadow who moved without a trace, exploiting the town's openness. The break in the case came not from Gainesville itself, but from an act of clumsy desperation hundreds of miles away. An Ocala supermarket was robbed, and the suspect, a transient with a string of petty crimes to his name, was quickly apprehended. His name was Danny Harold Rolling. Initially, he was just another thief, but as detectives began to dig, they found disturbing parallels. Rolling had a violent history, a fascination with knives, and a nomadic lifestyle that placed him in the right area at the right time. The crucial link was discovered at an abandoned campsite deep in the woods near the Gainesville crime scenes. There, investigators found a tape recorder with chilling, rambling songs about murder, along with a knife and a screwdriver that matched pry marks from one of the apartments. Slowly, meticulously, the evidence began to form a web around the drifter. DNA evidence found at the crime scenes was a definitive match. The ghost who had terrorized a city finally had a face, and it was one of pathetic human evil.
His capture was not the end of the performance. It was merely the beginning of the main act. Danny Rolling, the transient thief and now mass murderer, instinctively transformed himself in the public eye, claiming he was not solely responsible for the killings he has committed, that he was possessed by an alternate, malevolent personality he called Gemini. This was not a confession, it was a big boast. He had elevated his crimes from sordid acts of violence into a supernatural drama in which he was this tormented movie star. The trial was expected to be a long, drawn-out affair, a battle of psychiatric experts debating the existence of Gemini. But Rolling had one more surprise. In a move that shocked the court and the nation, he stood before the judge and with a chilling calmness pleaded guilty to all charges: 5 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of sexual battery, and 3 counts of armed burglary. By pleading guilty, he bypassed the painful public reliving of the details, yet ensured the spotlight remained solely on him, preventing the legal process from overshadowing his self-created myth. The performance continued through the sentencing phase, as grieving family members delivered their harrowing victim impact statements, forcing the court to confront the real human cost of his brutality. Rolling remained the self-absorbed star. He did not confess with remorse, but with a chilling sense of authorship, a creator detailing his work. He wrote long, self-aggrandizing letters from prison, collaborating on a book, and even a series of macabre drawings, ensuring his narrative, the story of Gemini, would be heard. He bragged not with the overt arrogance of a common thug, but with the insidious pride of a creator who admired his own monstrous work. He sang hymns during his sentencing, wept for his own tragic narrative, and from his cell continued to craft his legacy, a narrative that placed him above the ordinary killer. He was sentenced to death by lethal injection in 2006, having spent over a decade on death row, never dropping the role he created for himself. In his final statement, he sought not forgiveness, but validation, a final attempt to cement his place as a figure of tragic evil. Danny Rolling's rampage was a calculated assault on the very idea of safety and innocence, a series of performances where human beings were reduced to props in a theater of cruelty. He crafted a legend in blood and fear, a story he desperately needed the world to believe. This leaves us with a deeply unsettling question that cuts to the very heart of such crimes. When a killer goes to such lengths to create an alter ego and boast about the terror it caused, was the Gemini persona a genuine delusion born from a fractured mind? Or was it the ultimate act of a narcissist's ego, an elaborate final brag designed to grant a pathetic killer a sense of power and significance that he could never achieve in life? Was the fear he created in Gainesville merely a means to an end?
Or was the infamy itself the final, most satisfying victim?